Many of us have this relationship with our cell phones, but one emu is going viral for his absolute hatred of the farm iPhone. Here's Stevie Mose with the story of the emu who just isn't ready for his close-up yet.
He's an emu who's made a name for himself.
Emmanuel, not do it. Emmanuel, don't do it. Emmanuel!
That name is Emmanuel. Whenever Taylor Blake tries to make a video of knuckle bump farms in Florida and they raise winter cattle, she's always getting bumped by guess who?
Don't do it, Emmanuel.
Don't do what?
Emmanuel. The man is just a natural. I swear he was born to be on camera.
Now he's gone viral. Probably thinks his name is Emmanuel. Don't do it.
Emmanuel.
And when he's done it,
Emmanuel.
the question is,
Why? Why do you gotta be such a menace, dude? Emmanuel has always had a hatred for two things. One of them is phones and the other one is buttons.
Taylor has even resorted to the tactic all moms try. The dreaded three names.
Emmanuel Taco Pen. Emmanuel and stop tracks and kind of looks.
Have you actually lost an iPhone over this?
Not yet.
And it could be worse. A woman named Amanda at Useless Farm has herself been pecked repeatedly, suffering minor injuries inflicted by her emu parent.
That is some scary stuff she puts up with. So all the love and all the props.
Speaking of love, Amanda was actually crazy about Taylor. It's the phone he can't stand.
Emmanuel, don't do it. Emmanuel, not do it. How does that make you feel? Do you feel?
At least Emmanuel gets his fill of hearing his name.
Emmanuel, don't do it. Emmanuel, don't do it.
Cheating mode.
Don't do it.
CNN.
Is there anything you want to say? All right, you heard it here first, folks.
New York.
Emmanuel.
I think everyone has followed Emmanuel since then, thanks to Stevie Mose for that story. Time now, 41 years ago, when the whole world watched the wedding of Prince Charles and Lady Diana. Here's a couple as they were exchanging vows.
Charles, Philip, and George. Wilt thou have this woman a wife, to live together after God's ordinance in the holy estate of matrimony? Wilt thou love her, comfort her, honor and keep her in sickness and in health, and forsaking all other, keep thee only unto her, so long as we both shall live? I will. Diana Francis, wilt thou have this man thy wedded husband, to live together according to God's law, in the holy estate of matrimony, love him, comfort him, honor and keep him in sickness and in health, and forsaking all other, keep thee only unto him, so long as we both shall live?
I mean, it really did look like a fairy tale storybook come to life. The event was billed as the wedding of the century, and nearly 1 billion people watched the ceremony on TV in 74 different countries. Such an iconic day in history for the royal family. And joining me now is royal commentator Sandro Minetti. Sandro, I mean, you look back at that video, it's like it never gets old, but what about their wedding still fascinates people 41 years later?
It turned out to be
Diana spilled the royal tea and destroyed forever fairy tale images of these royal weddings. The famous, there were three of us in this marriage, where she talked about Prince Charles, his infidelity, and basically threw the whole palace under the bus. But as we've learned with events this week, he may have been manipulated by law.
Yeah, that was iconic as well, that interview, and I want to get to that a little bit. So the BBC has now has been ordered to pay a hefty sum to a former nanny who worked for Elsa Diana. So what can you tell us about that? How did she play into it?
Tiggy led Burke, as she was known at the time, Alexandra Pettifer now, there's a false and malicious allegation that, get this, she was having an affair with Prince Charles and had aborted their baby. Martin Bashir and his team are putting together that interview, presented this information, and it's one of the malicious, misleading ways they were able to get Diana in front of the cameras. And rightly substantial damages have been paid by the BBC. It's the corporation's 100th anniversary, but the celebrations have really been overshadowed by this huge embarrassment, teeming with revelations. They apologized to William and Harry and the other royals as well. And one of the few things Diana's sons agree on these days is that they continue to be furious about this interview and the fallout from it.
My goodness, my jaw was dropping when you were dropping that tea as well. All right, let's get on to a happier thing. So a big birthday for William and his oldest son, Prince George. I want to show you a picture. He turned 9 on Friday, and look at that smile, such a cutie pie. So this is a picture from his birthday. So what does a 9-year-old prince do for his birthday?
Well, he shows off a toothy grin. No longer. No wonder he looks so happy. He's going to be king. He's going to get it all. So
Do you
that
smile
must
about
be
that though? I mean, it's a lot of responsibility.
what a burden to live up to. But isn't he friendly as well? We didn't really see too much of the royal children, but in this Jubilee year, we certainly have. And again, Prince George was on full display at the recent Wimbledon tennis final. Dressed in his suit. Not many 8 or 9-year-olds have to wear a formal suit, but he just really has to go along. The nation of the Commonwealth and the world have fallen in love with him. He's born to the throne, and let's hope that it turns out much happier for him than it did for Diana. The royal soap opera goes on, and he's the British face of the future.
And on and on and on and on. Of course. All right, Sandra Minetti, thank you so much. Always great to meet you. Bye. Now, speaking of celebrities and wealth, artist Ashley Longshore is known for her whimsical portraits of famous men and famous women. Take a look at this one. This is of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or even former President George Washington. Her pieces can cost as much as $30,000 and are a fan favorite among celebrities like Nellie Cruz and Blake Lively. Our Chloe Malas talked with Ashley about how her latest project can have you own digital pieces for a far lesser price.
Look, I am a collector. I'm an artist. I surround myself with things that inspire me. I cannot get enough of art. Before I could afford to buy original art, I bought little trays at museum stores. So, this digital assets are funny. Also, my NFT started I think they're 300 USD. So it's a very accessible price point when you want to get into the art collection. If it makes you happy and you enjoy it and you can afford it, and you can pay your rent and still buy food and go out with your friends, it's fun.
Ashley's line is called It's a Man's World, featuring digital portraits of famous men from Elon Musk and Lil Wayne. The Russian invasion continues to upset lives in Ukraine. 1/3 of the population has had to flee their homes, and nearly 6 million people have left the country. This week, CNN hero is doing all that she can do to help. Her name is Teresa Gray. She's a paramedic and nurse from Alaska, and she has sent small, self-sufficient medical teams to natural and humanitarian disasters for years now. But since February, her volunteers have provided care and comfort to more than 1,000.
Expecting to see these large groups of people housed in tent cities, and actually they're housing these refugees in individual dorm rooms. They've got food, they've got shelter, but the trauma is the same.
They've lost almost everything.
This is filled with women, children, and elderly. There's a flu outbreak currently that obviously affects the children. We also have pre-existing conditions. It isn't just about fixing a broken arm or a hallway and listening to them. We try to meet the needs of whatever presents to us. Human suffering has no borders. People are people, and love is love.
And Teresa is back in Romania right now, helping me once again. To see her full story, you can go to cnnheroes.com, where you can also nominate someone you know to be a CNN hero, and those nominations close July 31st. A West Virginia woman is awake from a coma after being attacked 2 years ago, and now the man she said was responsible, her own brother, is dead. Ahead, we have all the twists in the case.
Unavoidable. Eliminating it is easy. Oxygen over glasses. Work your magic.
Somebody lost this thing, Angie's. Look, so I just thought people that needed this. So you do.
Yep, plumbers, contractors, cleaners, they're all still here. They even let you book services instantly now. Andy. I like it. Start your home project today at Angie.com. Poshmark is the perfect side hustle. You got me through school and job and getting into my first apartment. There's so much I can sell. Bags, accessories, home decor, and it's so easy to sell on Poshmark. You can do it in a minute. I just love it.
Your heart is at the heart of everything you do. And if you have heart failure, there's Entresto. Entresto helps improve your heart's ability to pump blood to the body. Don't take Entresto with pregnant. It cause harm or death to an unborn baby. Don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or Alisterin, or if you've had angioedema with an ACE or ARB. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high blood potassium. Ask your doctor about Entresto.
Among my patients, I often see them have heat sensitivity as well as gum issues. Does it worry me? Absolutely. Sensodyne sensitivity and gum dual action effect that really takes care of both our heat sensitivity as well as our gum issues. There's no question it's something that I would recommend.
When you have technology that's easier to control, that can scale across all your clouds,
We got that, right?
it's easier to be an innovator. So you can do more incredible things. It doesn't trip for only $1 with any country, only at Applebee's.
When you have auto glass damage, trust Safeway. And one easy appointment, we can replace your windshield and recalibrate your advanced safety system. Stay safe with Safeway. Schedule now.
Lala is my best kept secret. So here's the fun part. I'm not doing anything. This, I can spend the rest of my night at. Savon. Browse this week's meals at Savon.com.
I tell people all the time, especially when and when the color let build well, even if it is bit by bit, year by year, I really, really want women to be a part of what I feel is a revolution in finance right now.
As a business owner, your bottom line is always top of mind. So start saving by switching to the mobile service designed for small businesses, Comcast Business Mobile. Flexible data plans mean you can get unlimited data or pay by the gig, all on the most reliable 5G network, with no line activation fees or term contracts, saving you up to $500 a year. And it's only available to Comcast Business Internet customers. So boost your bottom line by switching today. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Hello, Closed captioning is brought to you by Page Publishing. Want to publish a book? We'll review your manuscript for free.
If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. Cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call 800-619-9331.
A woman wakes up after a 2-year coma and names her brother as the man who attacked her and left her to die. Now police say he's dead days after being arrested and charged. What's next for the investigation? The heat wave hitting the Northeast has killed one person. Temperatures will soar into the triple digits. How you can stay cool even without air conditioning. And Jennifer Lopez showed up from the Teen Road on her 52nd birthday last year. Today she turned 53. What will she do to top that? And it's her first birthday as Mrs. Affleck. We'll tell you what she has planned for a busy week ahead. Good morning. It's Sunday, July 24th, 2022. I'm Letitia Lance and for Susan Kendricks. Well, 2 years after being attacked at her home and left for dead, a West Virginia woman is now awake from a coma. She was able to tell authorities it was her own brother who attacked her. But just days after his arrest, officials say the man has died. HLN trial correspondent Dean Casares has the latest on our case.
Daniel Palmer III, charged in the brutal attack of his sister Wanda Palmer, was said by law enforcement to be uncooperative as they tried to get him to jail after an initial court proceeding. Now, officials saying he is dead. Palmer died Thursday night in a hospital after being in jail for 5 days. Palmer of Jackson County, West Virginia, was charged with the attempted murder of his sister Wanda in 2020, allegedly bludgeoning her with a hatchet or axe in the head and face. It was Wanda's mother who called 911 after it happened.
They came Wednesday morning to mow her grass, and they found her in a big pool of blood. And they got up on the hill real fast on Full River and told us, and I called the police and they went.
Wanda was found in her living room.
We show up and we see her on the couch, bloody, battered, bludgeoned in the head and face area.
They believed she was dead, but then heard sounds, quote, commonly referred to as the death rattle. But Wanda was alive.
I wouldn't have waited a nickel for her life that morning. She was in that bad shape.
According to the criminal complaint, a witness saw Wanda's brother at her trailer that night, and investigators say there was a history of violence between them. But law enforcement, no weapon, no eyewitness to the attack, and no phone records or video. And Wanda was in a coma until about 3 weeks ago when she woke up in her nursing home, the sheriff says. And she told investigators the attacker that night was her own brother.
For her to be able to wake up and say, give the name, thank God. That's all I can say, thank God.
This case is really all about the perseverance and the toughness and the strength of the victim in itself.
From the beginning, Jackson County Sheriff's Department tells CNN that Palmer was so uncooperative they couldn't take a brand new mugshot of him, and he wouldn't sign the paperwork allowing for an attorney to represent him. Now the question is, would he not cooperate, or could he not cooperate because of a medical condition that never knew existed? His attorney and guardian ad litem, Ryan Root, tells CNN that he will be looking into that and also says that Palmer was in bad shape, non-responsive, and basically alive by the machine in the hospital. Dean Casares, CNN, New York.
And I want to bring in criminal defense attorney Janet Johnson. So Janet, where do officials go from here? Do they continue the investigation now that the brother is dead?
Yeah, I mean, what a twist, right? I was already thinking, what would this trial look like now we have the brother dead? I think they'll continue investigation just to find out what happened and what the cause of death is. But at this point, it could shift to his estate, opening an investigation and a lawsuit against the police to see if there was any brutality or police misconduct that resulted in his death. So, we could have cross lawsuits within the family, her estate and her family, and on the victim's behalf saying, he did this to me, so I still want my from his estate if there is any. And then his estate may be looking at the police and saying, he was okay when he went into your custody and now he's dead.
And I want to lay out where we are with Wanda Palmer at this point. So she is awake, but this says She can't hold a full conversation. There's no witnesses, no footage of the attack. The weapon was never recovered. So what else do investigators have to go on to learn from her? Because she's just in those early stages of coming out of the coma.
Yeah, and I actually think it probably would have been a little tough had he survived and been independent because she's giving one word answers. A cross examination of her would have been very difficult. And at this point, her memory, I guess, is sufficient to say words like my brother, and when asked why he did it, she said he was me. But sometimes the memory can actually lapse after the head injury, and it could be that she forgets what she knows right now. So I think taxing her and pushing her more may not be right now the focus, but the fact that there's a perpetrator and they think they know who did it, if he isn't the person who did it, they certainly would get to the bottom of that as well.
These are Dean laid out a little bit. The sheriff says that Daniel Palmer, the brother, had some health issues before he died. So do you think there'll be another investigation related to his death to see if there was anything that the police did that could have contributed, or just his previous health issues?
No, absolutely. I mean, if I were the police, I would cite his health issues as well. If he died in my custody, I think that is the next phase of this investigation. We saw a video of him. He was clearly agitated, but he was not on life support. And within 5 days, he's passed away. I do think that's something that they have to get to the bottom of. It just, the tail just keeps going. But obviously, when someone dies in the police custody, he ultimately went to the hospital. But there will be questions, and there has to be a report that's done on that.
Still a lot of questions here. Such a bizarre case. Janet
Yes.
Johnson, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We now want to go to that excessive heat all around the country. One person has died from the exposure in New York City. That was yesterday. The city medical examiner says the person had several underlying health issues. The death is considered an accident, and it's expected to feel like 100 degrees in New York today. So the city is under a heat advisory until 8 p.m. Triple-digit temperatures are expected to hit the Northeast today. Our Paul Sandoval says the heat wave is setting some unpleasant records and scaling back some outdoor activities.
Sunday will bring another challenge for people driving through certain parts of the United States to do anything they can to keep cool, especially in the Northeast where heat advisories and alerts remain in place in major cities like Austin, Philadelphia, here in New York City. That really triathlon has been scaled back considerably as the cycling and the running portion of it has been shortened. The concern there is over potential food-related illness. Also, similar concern in the city of Boston, where their triathlon has been scheduled now for next month instead of the Sunday. We do know that boom centers have been set up throughout the New York City area, offering people a way to keep cool. We will see now this heat wave potentially lasting for next week, which will be one of the longest lasting heat waves we've seen in recent time.
And our thanks to Paul Sandoval for breaking the heat for that report there. Well, officials say the common denominator for many heat-related deaths is no air conditioning. So experts at the University of Florida shared these tips for staying cool without an air conditioner. You can use cold wash rags on your neck or your wrist. You can close your curtains or your blinds to cool your rooms off. Keep yourself hydrated and use fans. And a fun fact here, low thread count sheets will also keep you cooler. We're going to have more on the heat and our complete forecast in just a little bit here. Well, Boston's new police commissioner was once mistaken for a suspect and detained by his fellow officers. Coming up, he discusses his approach to policing.
Is Angel Soft an ideal balance of softness and strength?
discovering his identity. He's out of the job for 6 months before returning to the department where he'd stay for 30 years. Why did he stay?
You know, it wasn't an easy decision at the time, but when I served the public, I love the job. I know all the good people that do this job. And yeah, there's some knuckleheads and people like that that are out there sometimes. But the reality is back then I was saying, that's not what policing is. So if I leave, how would I know it would be better?
Cox never fully told his story publicly until 2 years ago.
What is happening with the world around policing? This is a profession that's needed everywhere. We can do it better, absolutely. But the people that do this job are the right reason. I tell my story and try to explain to people that people are that care. And I'm one of them. I do consider this a home.
Now, the native Bostonian is poised to lead one of the largest police forces in the country. What do you say on day one? You're ranked by.
They need development and support. But it's not just around the officers, it's also around the public. Expectations of the public trust. We need to build that up again. And sometimes that means, taking criticism, revisiting some of our history, just to acknowledge it, and then move on and say, what we're here.
We now have a commissioner who understands deeply what it means when our systems don't see everyone.
A lesson Cox didn't expect to learn while serving his city now carries with him as he leaves. Bridging Breast, CNN, Boston.
Thanks for your reporting on that, Brent Grass. Thank you. It is Jacob Harris with her new husband, Ben Affleck. And of course, we're wondering, what has been getting his new bride for her birthday?
Auto glass damage? Safe. And one easy appointment. We can replace your windshield and recalibrate your advanced safety system. Stay safe, safe life. Schedule now. If your windshield fix, Safe Life makes it easy. You can schedule it in just a few clicks, and we'll come to you with replacement you can trust. Great. Get service on your time. Schedule now.
Safe Life repairs, Safe Life replace.
Why hide this? If your patient has your moderate to severe eczema or atopic dermatitis under control, hide my skin, not me. By hitting eczema where it counts, Dupixent helps heal your skin from within, keeping you one step ahead of eczema.
Hi, my skin, not me.
And that means long-lasting, clearer skin and fast influence for adults. With Dupixent, you can show more skin, less eczema. Serious allergic reactions can occur. They can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems, such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop past medicines without talking to your doctor. When you help heal your skin from within, you can change how your skin looks and feels. And that's the kind of change you notice. Talk to your eczema specialist about Dupixent, a breakthrough eczema treatment. I brought in a short neck protein with 3 grams of protein. Those who try me have more energy in just 2 weeks. Here, I'll take that.
It's so easy to find a Poshmark. You just pick out your items, snap a couple of photos, and boom, it's up for sale. When I look at my old clothes now, I see dollar signs. Just this month, I made a couple $100 on Poshmark just selling items in my closet.
Download the free Poshmark app.
Among my patients, I often see them have teeth sensitivity as well as gum issues. Does it worry me? Absolutely. Sensitivity and gum gives us a dual action effect that really takes care of both our teeth sensitivity as well as our gum issues. There's no question it's something that I would recommend.
Lactate is 100% real milk, just without lactose. Tastes great in our iced coffees, too, which makes waking up at 5 a.m. to milk the cows a little easier.
Mabel says for you, it's more like 5:15.
Mom, really?
And catch mini for only years.
Start investing today.
Public.com.
Dad, a dinosaur.
That's the movie.
No, Dad, a real dinosaur.
Sure, go over there.
New York City in your doorbell works with your City home system for real-time alerts no matter what's at the door.
It's a leaf.
Traffic opening and no map on City. Move your City home.
Junior faithful sudden upset to win the gold in the one track event last night, but it also dealt with some heartbreak too. Carolyn Mann is here with your people. What are you doing?
Hey, good morning, Letitia. You know, it's been an incredible ride for Team USA, and last time it was really the sprinters who turned heads in the women's 100-meter relay. Check this out. Huge upset here. Jamaica, the heavy favorite in this race, but the forces on Melissa Jefferson, Abby Steiner, Jenna Prandini, and Tiki Terry using some speed to pull off the improbable. Terry with an absolutely incredible anchor leg in this race, Letitia. She found just enough juice to hold off the surge by Sharika Jackson, who's one of the fastest women in history. The American stunning the defending Olympic champs by 4/100ths of a second. It's the first gold for the U.S. in the event in 5 years and 8 overall. A wonderful moment for the United States. Their Team USA was the favorite in the men's 4x1 after sweeping the 100-meter dash earlier this week. And even without their gold medalist, Fred Gurley, who got hurt in the 200, the U.S. had the lead starting the final leg with Andre DeGrasse to get shot out of the cannon. Battling back from COVID, the world's fastest and proving he is just that fast, defending Olympic blowing past Marvin Bracey to the finish line, grabbing Canada's first gold in the event in 25 years. It was a disappointing night, like you mentioned, for Mia Ali and Alicia Johnson, who will be able to compete for gold. Ali is the defending U.S. champ. She ended up crashing out after clipping the second to last hurdle in her heat. And for Johnson, she has the second fastest time in the world this year, but she actually couldn't clear the opening jump in her race. There is still hope that the United States, Aaliyah Armstrong and Kendra Harrison, who has held the world record in 2016, they were able to advance to tomorrow's semifinals. We will see them there and cheer for them. And lastly for you, we're taking a left turn here because this is a much more serious moment, but it really resonated around the world. Letitia, this is from last night's UFC event in London. Paddy the Baddy Pimblett dedicating his win to a friend that he lost to suicide this past weekend. The fighter ended up using this massive global platform to shine a light on mental health.
There's a stigma in this world that men can't talk. Listen, if you're a man and you've got weight on your shoulders, and you think the only way you can solve it is by killing yourself, please speak to someone. Speak to anyone. People would rather, I'd rather have a weight cry on my shoulder and go to the funeral next week. So please, let's get rid of this stigma.
People were moved by this. UFC has such a global reach, and he has really received so much praise for this unexpected message from the Octagon. Everybody normally expects that to be so celebratory in nature, and things get said, and it's very theatrical. But this message was very authentic and meaningful for him, and it rang true for a lot of people. In fact, it might have saved somebody watch last night. So that was really funny. I wanted to bring that to you this morning.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. I can see why so many people would be moved by that. And kudos to him for sharing and using such a big platform to share that information. Carolyn, thank you. I want to tell you, if you or someone you know is struggling and don't know where to turn, you can always call or text the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 8988. We'll be right back.
Unavoidable. Eliminating it is easy with OxyClean Overblast. Work your magic.
You're pretty particular about keeping a healthy environment. What goes on in it? Usually, mostly. Here to meet those high standards is the Walgreens Health and Wellness brand. Over 2,000 high-quality products. Rigorously tested by us. Real-world tested by you. And particularly kind to your wallet.
technology that's easier to control, that can scale across all your clouds.
We got that, right?
It's easier to be an innovator, so you can do more incredible things.
There's nothing glamorous about migraines. Since I was a teenager, the pain has taken me away from my family and friends. But I finally found relief with Nurtec ODT. It's the only medication that can treat my migraine right when it strikes and prevent my next attack. Treat and prevent all in one. Don't take it for a It was founded by the fact that less than 3% of nausea, indigestion, something. What great design Nurtec has me get back to normal fast and prevent my next attack. Treat and prevent all in one.
Is Angel Soft with the lavender scented tube an ideal balance of softness, strength, and scent? This one thinks so.
Are you good?
So good. Angel Soft Lavender with scented tubes. An ideal balance of softness, strength, and scent.
There's a different way to treat HIV. It's every other month injectable Cabenuva. For adults who are undetectable, Cabenuva is the only complete HIV treatment you can get every other month. Cabenuva helps keep being undetectable. It's 2 injections given by my healthcare provider every other month.
It's one less thing to think about watching.
HIV pills aren't on my mind. About changing my plans is no big deal. Don't receive Cabenuva if you're allergic to its ingredients or taking certain medicines which may interact with Cabenuva. Serious side effects include allergic reactions, post-injection reactions, liver problems, and depression. If you have a rash and other allergic reaction symptoms, stop Cabenuva and get medical help right away. Tell your doctor if you have liver problems or mental health concerns, and if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or considering pregnancy. Some of the most common side effects include injection site reactions, fever, and tiredness. If you switch to Cabenuva, attend all treatment appointments every other month, and I'm good to go. Ask your doctor about every other month Cabenuva.
Psoriatic arthritis made my joints stiff, sore, painful.
Emerge from clients. From clients. To help reduce risk and adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Some patients even OST.
Serious allergic reactions. Should find increase the risk of infections in the way you could fight. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, or if you have a vaccine influenza.
Emerge Tremfliant with Tremfliant. Ask your doctor about Tremfliant today.
When I went to start researching different roofers in my area, I was overwhelmed. It was so much information at once. Then we got on Angie. It was just insane how quickly things went. Contractors pop up on your screen.
You can read other people's experiences. To me, Angie is a time saver.
I scheduled it right then and there. It was very such a seamless, enjoyable experience. I never thought I would be staying at a battle project in my home. Got a home project? Get started at Angie.com today.
Good morning, I'm Natasha Lance and for Susan Hendricks. Here's a look at your headlines. Starting tomorrow, KFC is testing out a new menu item, Kentucky Fried Chicken Nuggets. It will be available in Charlotte, North Carolina for a limited time, and the company does have popcorn nuggets on its menu already, but KFC says it hopes the new nuggets will appeal to Gen Z and millennial customers who want more boneless chicken options. Parts of Central California look like an inferno. You can see those flames right there. The Oak Fire has quickly burned through 12,000 acres near Yosemite National Park, and is 0% consumed. People who live in the area have evacuated, homes were destroyed, and thousands more are at risk. Pope Francis is going to Canada on what he has called a pilgrimage of penance. He will offer a formal apology to the Catholic or for the Catholic Church's role in abuses done to Indigenous children. This trip is at the request of Canada's Indigenous leaders who are investigating the harms done by Catholic-run residential schools. Well, let's just say it's been a pretty good week for Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. The newlyweds are celebrating 1 week of marriage and her 53rd birthday in Paris. Our entertainment correspondent, Chloe Malas, has more. So, Chloe, how does one celebrate your birthday if you're already part of a just married Hollywood power couple? You're Jennifer Lopez, you have everything. What do you do?
Well, you know what? It just makes them even more relatable. What did they do? These lovebirds, they went to Paris to take in the sights and be tourists with their family. Yes, their honeymoon is actually a family vacation. What do I mean by that? You see in photographs that we have, Ben Affleck, his two eldest daughters are there. His 10-year-old son Samuel, we haven't seen him yet. Jennifer Lopez's twins, Max and Emmy, they're 14 years old. They're there too. Everybody looks so happy. I mean, let me tell you, first of all, Jennifer's outfits, she looks incredible. She is just bringing her fashion A game, but we wouldn't expect anything else. But then he's so cute. He's been carrying around this camera, like long lens, taking pictures of course, his new bride. And they've been spotted holding hands, stealing kisses on a park bench. I mean, it's just so sweet, especially the fact that they found each other again 20 years later after they were supposed to originally tie the knot back in the early 2000s. And, I'm sure that many people are wondering how are Ben and Jen's kids taking this sort of, new quick second time around because they only announced their engagement a few months ago. Well, they're holding hands. The kids are holding hands. They're laughing. In one photograph, you actually see Violet with her dad on the boat on the Seine in Paris, where they're taking in the sights, and she has her arms around his neck. They were on this 70-foot, beautiful, iconic, old Hollywood glamorous boat yesterday on the Seine, looking at the Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame, taking in all the sights, and they just look so happy together.
They are really cute, and it's nice to see both their families coming together in this kind of way. So we're also hearing there might be a second wedding for the two of them that harkens back to 20 years ago when they were first supposed to get married.
Yeah, so when they were first supposed to get married, back almost 2 decades ago, they were going to have this big blowout wedding in Georgia because Ben Affleck actually owns about 80 acres of property right outside of Savannah in an area called Riceboro. I'm from Georgia. I don't know the area, but I know Savannah, so I know it's going to be beautiful. There are multiple reports from TMZ and other outlets that they're going to have an intimate reception for their friends, for their family members, for like Matt Damon and Affleck's bestie. Leah Remini, right? Jennifer Lopez's best friend, and that all these people will be there together. I reached out to Jennifer's representative who said she can't confirm anything, but that they do have a chunk of time with a little bit of, I guess, some downtime or maybe something like that. But we know that Jennifer is gearing up for a big performance next week in Capri for UNICEF. She's going to jet from Paris to Italy, and then he has to get to work on this movie about Nike, about the powerhouse athletic brand that he is actually directing and starring in, and also Matt Damon's in that too. So he has to get back to editing that in Los Angeles. But we are hoping for this celebration of love to extend for hopefully the entire summer, right? Wouldn't that just be great? I'm living for all these photographs.
Yeah, it sounds like life goes on, right? I'm enjoying watching them on this cloud nine, and I hope to see it last as long as they can. Chloe Malott, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lawmakers in Congress are working on a bill to protect same-sex marriage, interracial marriage under federal law. This comes after the reversal of Roe v. Wade by the Supreme Court. The Democrat-led House passed the Respect for Marriage Act. That was this week, but it faces uncertainty in the Senate. Our Daniela Diaz has more on your case.
Now that this legislation has passed the House, it goes to the Senate, where Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has already taken procedural steps to advance the legislation that would codify same-sex marriage in the United States and make it federal law. Now remember, because of how the Senate works, even if all 50 Democratic senators support this legislation, there needs to be at least 10 Republicans to sign on and advance this to break that 60-vote threshold for the filibuster. Right now, we know of 5 Republicans who have said they consent to support this. Those Republicans being Rob Portman of Ohio, Susan Collins of Maine, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and considering that just a few years ago, there was almost unanimous opposition against same-sex marriage across the entire Republican Party. So just in the last few years, that has changed. And it is incredibly telling because 47 House Republicans supported this legislation when it made it to a vote in the House last Tuesday. So it really shows how this issue has changed in the party. And that is why Democrats want to codify same-sex marriage. But of course, as I said, the clock is ticking. The Democrats are hoping that they can pass this legislation as well as other packages that they want to pass before August recess, including legislation that would increase production of semiconductor chips, a priority for both parties, and a separate economic package that would pass along party lines. So, of course, Senate Majority Leader Chuck is still hoping that they could do that before August recess, but remains to be seen.
Daniela Diaz, thank you. Now let's get back to that brutal heat that is scorching much of the country, including the Northeast, which could see record high temperatures. Meteorologist Allison Chinchar is here, and Allison, something that everybody needs to be aware of to take proper precautions.
That's absolutely right. Good morning to you. We're talking about a lot of states here, but we get it. It's summer. It's always supposed to be hot. But a lot of these areas, we're not just talking the normal hot. It's record breaking heat. All of these areas we see here in Oregon are under a heat advisory or an excessive heat warning. For some of these places, it's been weeks on end of these triple-digit temperatures. Take Oklahoma City, for example. Yet another day in the triple digits again today, reaching out at 101. But when we factor that humidity in, it will feel more like 105. St. Louis 97 for the high, feeling more like 106. Also, records possible today in Boston, Philadelphia, even Washington, D.C. The good news here is that we do finally start to see at least a little bit of a break from the heat in the coming days once we get this next storm system to make its way through. We have a couple of tornadoes and the potential for hail today with this system stretching from Maine all the way back to Illinois. The main threat there will be in the afternoon and evening hours. Once that moves through, a slight cool down for some along the Great Lakes, but for much of the Northeast and the Southeast, give it a few more days after that. By the end of the upcoming week, those temperatures go right back up to above normal. And then in the western half of the country, the next 2 days begin settling in. Starting today, temperatures begin to warm up, but we really notice the position once it's above where they normally would be.
All right, Allison, something to continue to monitor. Thank you. The governor of California has signed into law several bills that regulate guns and gun sales. Our Josh Campbell explains he also signed one bill he says will give gun safety advocates new power.
Saying it's time for gun safety advocates to go on the offense against illegal gun manufacturers and distributors. California Governor Gavin Newsom just signed this law Friday. A first of its kind, clears the way for citizens to sue makers and sellers of illegal ghost guns and assault weapons that are banned in the state. Now, under the law, Californians will be able to sue for damages of at least $10,000 per weapon involved. The same damages are also available against gun dealers who illegally sell firearms to those under the age of 21. California's new gun law is modeled after a Texas law that allows citizens to sue doctors and other medical professionals that provide abortion services. After the U.S. court opted not to block the Texas bill, Newsom vowed to use those same legal tactics to propel gun safety. Here's what he said Friday in Los Angeles.
It's time to put them on the defense. You cannot sell, you cannot manufacture, you cannot transfer these illegal weapons of war and mass destruction in the state of California. And if you do, there are 40 million people that can collect $10,000 from you and attorney fees for engaging in that illegal activity. The Supreme Court opened the door. The Supreme Court said this was okay. It was a terrible decision. But these are the rules that they had established.
Now, interestingly, Newsom is facing opposition from groups like the American Civil Liberties Union, who claim this may launch a, quote, arms race. Friday, Newsom said he knows there's criticism. He believes the law will be litigated, but says in his view, there's no principled way the Supreme Court will be able to overturn this law while upholding its decision, Roe versus Wade. Josh Campbell, CNN, Los Angeles.
Thanks, Josh. Well, it was called the wedding of the century, not taking anything away from Jennifer, but the whole world was watching as Prince Charles and Lady Diana tied the knot. The real life fairy tale played out 4 decades ago. You can flash that coming up.
I'm a fat
the exercise like you. And I've gone from 0 to obsessed in like 3 days. After running 12 rounds of I'm taking detours. And if you don't have the right home insurance coverage, you could be working out a way to pay for this yourself.
It all seems to be mayhem for a whole lot less.
It's so easy to sell on Poshmark. You just pick out your items, snap a couple of photos, and boom, it's up for sale. When I look at my old clothes now, I see dollar signs. Just this month, I made a couple $100 on Poshmark just selling items in my closet.
Download the free Poshmark app now.
If you're like me, you're sick of underwires. Well, Nix makes wireless bras that you will love. They're supportive, they're comfortable, and leave it up to an age cap. Join the millions of women who have switched to a wireless bra. Find yours at Nix.com.
My name is Austin James. As a musician living with diabetes, figure six to be a real challenge. That's why I use the painless 1-second scan. I feel my glucose numbers without finger sticks. Now I'm managing my diabetes better, and I lowered my A1C from 8.2 to 6.7.
Take the mystery out of your diabetes and lower your A1C. Now you know. Try it for free at freestylelibre.us. Government price setting could mean fewer medicines in the coming years. Which new medicines could be lost? Today, there are 90 medicines in development for Alzheimer's disease, 26 for childhood diabetes, 100 medicines for breast cancer. The list goes on. Which diseases could go untreated when Congress passes government price setting? Tell Congress there's a better way to lower costs without risking more medicines. Paid for by pharma.
Your mission is to stand up to moderate starlights or active psoriatic arthritis and take it on with Rinvoq. Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that tackles pain, stiffness, slowly. For some, Rinvoq significantly reduces RA and PSA concern. It can stop irreversible joint damage. And Rinvoq leaves skin clear or almost clear from PSA. That's Rinvoq Green.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers, including lymphoma and skin cancer, death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occur. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take it allergic to Rinvoq, and serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or you become pregnant.
Ask your rheumatologist about Rinvoq. Rinvoq. Make it your mission. Learn how athletes can help you save Rinvoq.
It's hard eating healthy. Unless happen to be wrong. I have type 2 diabetes. I've pricked my finger too many times. My A1C was still over 9. Then I got the Dexcom G6. I just glanced at my phone and here's my glucose number. No finger stick. None. Yes. Holy cow. My diabetes is no longer a mystery.
My A1C's dropped over 2 points to 7.2.
That's a huge victory.
I feel like I'm calling the shots. Not my diabetes.
And then there's 40 offers on this house already.
Hey, I hate to spill the beans, but it's never too late to switch lenders. Upgrade your mortgage pre-approval with Neat Loans today and close in as few as 15 days. Neat Loans, faster mortgages.
Many of us have this love-hate relationship with our cell phones, but one emu is going viral for his absolute hatred of the farm iPhone. Here's Judy Mose with the story of the emu who just isn't ready for his close-up yet.
He's an emu who's made a name for himself.
Emmanuel, not do it. Emmanuel, don't do it. Emmanuel.
That name is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, don't do it.
Whenever Taylor Blake tries to make a video, Knuckle Bump Farms in Florida, where they raise miniature cattle, she's always getting bumped by guess who?
Don't do it, Emmanuel.
Don't do what?
Emmanuel. Okay.
learn to be on there.
Now he's gone viral. Probably thinks his name is Emmanuel. Don't do it.
Do it, Emmanuel. Do not do it, Emmanuel.
And when he's done it,
Emmanuel.
the question is,
Why? Why do you gotta be such a menace, dude? Emmanuel has always had a hatred for two things. One of them is phones and the other one is buttons.
Taylor has even resorted to the tactic all moms try, the dreaded three names.
Emmanuel's not open. Emmanuel and stops in his tracks and kind of looks.
Have you actually lost an iPhone over there?
Not yet.
And it could be worse. A woman named Amanda at Useless Farm has herself been pecked repeatedly, suffering minor injuries inflicted by her new parent.
That is some scary stuff she puts up with. So all the love and all the props.
Speaking of love, Amanda was actually crazy about Taylor. The fact he can't stand.
Emmanuel, don't do it. Emmanuel, not do it. How would that make you feel? Do you feel fulfilled?
At least Emmanuel gets his fill of hearing his name.
Emmanuel, don't do it. Emmanuel, don't do it.
Cheating on
Don't do it.
CNN.
Is there anything you want to say? All right, you heard it here. Emmanuel.
I think everyone has fallen in love with Emmanuel since then, thanks to Katie Bucks for that story. Time now for our flashback, where we look at memorable moments in history. It was this week, 41 years ago, when the whole world watched the wedding of Britain's Prince Charles and Lady Diana. The couple as they were exchanging vows.
Charles, Philip, Arthur, George. Wilt thou have this woman to thy wedded wife, to live together after God's ordinance in the holy estate of matrimony? Wilt thou love her, comfort her, honor and keep her in sickness and in health, and forsaking all other, keep thee only unto her, so long as we both shall live? I will. Diana Francis, wilt thou have this man thy wedded husband, to live together according to God's law, in the holy estate of matrimony? Wilt thou love him, comfort, honor, and keep him and in health, and forsaking all other, keep thee only unto him, so long as we both shall live?
I mean, it really did look like a fairy tale storybook life. The event was billed as the wedding of the century, and nearly 1 billion people watched the ceremony on TV in 74 different countries. Such an iconic day in history for the royal family. And joining me now is royal commentator Sandro Minetti. Sandro, I mean, you look back at that video, it's like it never gets old. But what about their wedding still fascinates people 41 years later?
It turned out to be a fractured fairy tale, as we know. Very much in our minds again was the explosive 1995 TV interview where Diana spilled the royal tea and destroyed forever fairy tale images of these royal weddings. There were 3 of us in this marriage, where she talked about Prince Charles' infidelity and basically threw the whole palace under the bus. But as we've learned with events this week, he may have been manipulated. More.
Yeah, that was iconic as well, that interview, and I want to get to that a little bit. So the BBC has now has been ordered to pay a hefty sum to a former nanny who worked for Charles and Diana. So what can you tell us about that? How much she played into it?
She led birth, as she was known at the time, Alexandra Pettiford. Now, there was a false and malicious allegation that, get this, she was having an affair with Prince Charles and had aborted their baby. Martin Bashir and his team are putting together that interview, presented this information, and it's one of the malicious and misleading ways they were able to get Diana in front of the cameras. And rightfully substantial damages have been paid by the BBC. It's the corporation's 100th anniversary, but the celebrations have really been overshadowed by these huge embarrassment, continuing revelations. They apologized to William and Harry
My jaw was dropping when you were dropping that tea as well. All right, let's get on to a happier thing. So a big birthday for William and Kate's oldest son, Prince George. I want to show you a picture. He turned 9 on Friday. And Tim, look at that smile, such a cutie pie. So this is a picture from his birthday. So what does a 9-year-old Prince do for his birthday?
Well, he shows off a toothy grin. No longer. No wonder he looks so happy. He's going to be king. He's going to get it all. So
Do you
that
smile
must
about
be
that though? I mean, it's a lot of responsibility to be
what
king.
a burden to the not to one of us handling it well. We didn't really used to see too much of the royal children, but in this Jubilee year, we certainly have. Again, Prince George was on full display at the recent Wimbledon tennis final. Dressed in his suit. Not many 8 or 9-year-olds have to wear a formal suit, but he just really has to put on. The nation of the Commonwealth and the world have fallen in love with him. He's born to the throne, and let's hope that it turns out much happier for him than it did for Diana. The royal soap opera goes on, and he's the grinning face of the future.
And on and on and on and on. Of course. All right, Sandra Burnett, thank you so much. Always great to meet you. Bye. Now, speaking of celebrities and wealth, artist Ashley Longshore is known for her whimsical portraits of famous men and famous women. Take a look at this one. This is of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or even former President George Washington. Her pieces can cost as much as $30,000 and are a fan favorite among celebrities like Penelope Cruz and Blake Lively. Our Chloe Malas caught up with Ashley about how her latest project can have you own one of her digital pieces for a far lesser price.
Look, I am a collector. I'm an artist. I surround myself with things that inspire me. I cannot get enough of art. Before I could afford to buy original art, I bought little trays at museum stores. So, this digital asset. I mean, also, my NFTs started like, I think it's 300 USD. So it's a very accessible price point when you want to get into the art collection, If it makes you happy and you enjoy it and you can afford it, you can pay your rent and still buy food and go out with your friends, it's fun.
Ashley's line is called It's a Man's World, featuring digital portraits of famous men from Elon Musk and Lil Wayne. The Russian invasion continues to upset life in Ukraine. 1/3 of the population has had to flee their homes, and nearly 6 million people have left the country. This week, CNN hero is seeing all that she can do to help. Her name is Teresa Gray. She's a paramedic and nurse from Alaska, and she has sent small, self-sufficient medical teams to natural and humanitarian disasters for years now. But since February, her volunteers have traveled to Romania 3 times, where they provided care and comfort to more than 1,000 Ukrainian refugees in need.
What we were expecting to see was large groups of people housed in tent cities, and actually they're housing these refugees in individual dorm rooms. They've got food, they've got shelter, but the trauma is the same.
They've lost almost everything.
This is filled with women, children, and elderly. There is a flu outbreak currently that obviously affects the children. We also have pre-existing conditions. It isn't just about fixing the broken arm or giving you medicine. It's making that human connection. Sometimes you need to hold their hand and walk them down the hallway and listen to them. We try to meet the needs of whatever it presents to us. Human suffering has no borders. People are people, and love is love.
Teresa is back in Romania right now, helping me once again. To see her full story, you can go to cnnheroes.com, where you can also nominate someone you know to be a CNN hero, and those nominations close to 31st. That does it for today for Weekend Express. Thanks for being with us, and be sure to come back here tomorrow for Morning Express at Eastern. Up next, Forensic Files 2. Have a great day.
and heroes. He is